It's been a little over 18 months since we had our hands on a Galaxy Note, and we didn't know at the time that this may have been the last one we were going to see. Since then, we've seen Pen Compatibility added to the S22 Ultra and the Z Fold 3, but neither of these devices had a place to store the S Pen, and the pens weren't included in the box. This year, Samsung seems to have launched the true successor to the Note 20 Ultra. This is the new Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. Now I'm going to cut straight to the point and say I think all the stars have aligned and New Zealand has finally been given the perfect Samsung phone. Let me explain why. At first glance, this phone really does look like a Note device. Compared to the rounded edges of the rest of the S22 lineup, the S22 Ultra has that familiar squared off design, and I think it's a combination of the shape and the weight that just feels really premium to hold. I also heavily prefer the square look to the rounded one when it comes to watching any sort of videos or movies, as it kind of feels like you have a small TV in your hand. The display is gorgeous, bright and vivid, as you would expect from Samsung's top of the line device. But the S22 Ultra actually has a feature that can boost that display up to 1750 nits. It uses some smart tech to balance out the contrast and punch up the spots where you really need it, and it makes it so much better to use in the bright outdoors. Easily the brightest phone I've ever used and perfect to use with my DJI drone, that I always seem to struggle to see exactly what I'm recording on other phones. We get very minimal top and bottom bezels, with the sides of the screen having what I think is the perfect amount of curve to them, as the shape continues into the middle round edges of the housing. The overall shape is simple and clean, which extends to the matte back, rather than the usual raised camera housing we find on other devices in this lineup. The S22 Ultra simply leaves the cameras out in the open in a minimalistic fashion, and I personally think I prefer this look. The model we have here is the new burgundy color, introduced this year, and it's a nice shade. Not too bright, but something unique. The first thing you'll notice is how much of a joy this device is to use. The fast 120Hz screen paired with the new Snapdragon 8 chip makes everything you do feel practically instant.
And yes, you heard that right, for the first time in nearly a decade, New Zealand has the Snapdragon variant of the Galaxy S line from launch.
And man, it's fast. Gaming performance is top notch and there's virtually no slowdowns when doing intense tasks or switching between apps. It's also power efficient, with finally a real 2-day battery life. I also noticed that if I just left the device sleeping, the battery would drop maybe a couple of percent over 24 hours. So the low power state is also very impressive. But the main standout feature this year is of course the inclusion of Samsung's famous S Pen. This year with 3 times improved pen latency. Just click the pen out of the bottom and you're greeted with a menu of handy features. For quickly creating notes or smart selecting things to quickly share to your friends or annotating parts or images you want to highlight, I can see business users really enjoying this feature for signing documents in spreadsheets, but I also found a lot of use cases in my own day-to-day when messaging friends, where these features really came in handy, and I can see why this was such a heavily requested add-on. There's not many other devices that can do this and can do it this well. Along with the fantastic screen, battery, and performance, we get some top-of-the-range cameras. The main 108 megapixel camera produces very sharp images with true-to-life colors and great exposure. I also noticed that 10x zoom seems to be a lot better this year as well. Not only for photos, but also with video. It handled change in exposure well and was just all round very impressive to pull out of your pocket and get shots like this. And with support for up to 8K video, it's really mind-blowing to see how far these cameras have come. So that's sort of what I meant when I said it's the best Samsung phone New Zealand's ever seen. The screen is outstanding, the battery is outstanding, we finally get the Snapdragon variant with Adreno graphics, and some of the best cameras on the market. We don't have expandable storage or a headphone jack, but these are things at this stage I can happily live without. Samsung really did tick all the boxes with this device, and anyone who's lucky enough to get their hands on one will be over the moon. Of course, we have these units, as well as the rest of the S22 lineup, on display in most of our PBTech stores, if you want to pop in and get your hands on one yourself. I'm Milo from PBTech, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.